Hey guys, in today's lesson we're going to discuss something called self-sabotage. So you may have heard of this before, but self-sabotage are any habits or behaviours that are detrimental to our goals, yet we still keep doing them. So now you probably know of some common examples like procrastination, boredom eating, overeating, alcohol, drugs, anything to distract you from what your goals are. But there's also more unconscious ones like overthinking, not putting in place the right steps, social media when you're at work, all these sort of little habits, they actually really are detrimental to your goals and your ability to change and improve. So we'll have a little bit of a discussion about what self-sabotage is, what you can do about it, and things that you can ask yourself to move through these issues in your life. So the biggest thing about self-sabotage is generally there are a lot of unconscious habits and behaviours that turn up. So you're not consciously thinking about them when they're happening, but you realise maybe halfway through or afterwards, oh shit, I've done that thing again. You want to try and make sure that you're aware of it. So generally they come up because they're protecting us from change or fear. So a lot of these beliefs are coming out from somewhere deep inside you, usually from a lack of worthiness or some beliefs that you don't believe in yourself and all this sort of stuff. They tend to work their way up into these unconscious habits and beliefs that we're doing, even though our logical brain is saying one thing, our emotional brain is saying another. So that's why these things can manifest and become a bit of an unconscious problem. But at the end of the day, your body and your brain are trying to save you. They're trying to keep you with what's safe and what they know, even if that's not the most optimal place to be. So they also come from the stories that you tell yourself. So anything that runs through your head, your self-talk, which we're going to talk about quite a bit in a moment, will tend to dictate the way that you act and the way that you behave. If you're telling yourself stories that are creating a certain identity, then you're going to behave in that way. If you're telling yourself really harshly that you shouldn't be doing something, like a naughty child, generally going to go and do it out of spite, which is what we don't want to do. So we're going to try and work with our brain and our body to become what we want to truly be and achieve our goals. Now, next thing I want to really talk about is self-talk. So the way to make these self-sabotage habits turn up is by having self-awareness, which we talked about way back in week 1. So knowing yourself, your state, which is your physical, mental and emotional state that you're turning up in, and also your self-talk. So I'll discuss self-talk. It's a little bit more than just what your mind is saying. So one big concept that might interest you is that your mind isn't you. So all those little words chattering away in your head, they're not actually who you are. Your soul and who you are deeply down inside is not saying those things. But generally that's your mind, which is a tool that looks around for any stimulus, uses thoughts, past experiences, everything to kind of create a bit of an idea of what's going on around it. So generally your mind will have taken everything to make a lot of these assumptions, these beliefs that you have early in childhood and as you go on later, and turn them into stories and what goes on in your head. And that's what those little words are that turn up. So generally it's not you, it's your mind, but it is a tool. It's not your owner. So you should own your mind shouldn't own you. You don't want those words to be the leading factor to what you do, because if they're unconscious, then 9 times out of 10 are going to be trying to slide you back down to your comfort zone, safety, where you feel safe, but that's often where a lot of those bad behaviours and negative associations exist. So we want to try and get out of that. So it can change, that's up to you. The biggest thing is awareness, and it can be easier than you think. It's just taking a little bit of time to understand yourself and understand your self-talk. Now there's 2 big concepts that I use for self-talk, and this is a bit simplified, but generally your body and your mind will have either a positive or a negative tape playing in your head or voice that's going on. So I call these the critic if it's negative. So this is a self-depreciating, survival mode, judging, negative mindset that all those little words are yabbering away being negative. To that mind, everything is a problem. It's a bit of a bully, so it's often where a lot of your negative self-talk and your negative thoughts about yourself come from. And of course, it's the heart of self-sabotage. Although this kind of mindset's aim is to protect you and keep you safe, oftentimes it causes you to do things that are not healthy for you at all. And of course, we don't want a bully sitting inside our head telling us what to do every day, because we're not going to be the most optimal versions of ourselves. But sadly, this is where a lot of people spend a lot of their day, in this critic mindset. However, on the other side, the flip side, is the creator mindset. So this mindset is the positive one. This one's self-accepting. It's in creation mode, so that creative, open, happy, expressive mode. It's accepting, loving, and positive. This mind is where you'll find you've got an internal cheerleader. It's all about growth and change and self-development and improvement. So you're actually expanding out of your comfort zone, discovering new things, new environments, new things that you want to incorporate into your life. And of course, as you can probably tell, this is where we want to spend most of our time. But it's very hard when you're stuck in this critic mode to see the benefit on the other side of the fence. And of course, you might flip-flop between this during the day. It's not like you're all in one or all in the other, but a high percentage of us are stuck in critic. Now, the big thing with these two is they correlate quite directly with what I said before in another lesson about being in parasympathetic or sympathetic states, or your fight or flight mode, which is your sympathetic mode, which is when your brain is running on survival, it just wants to exist, or you're running on creation mode or rest and digest mode. So your body's in parasympathetic, rested, relaxing, it's ready to open and explore state. So they're very correlated, and so ironically, when you're in the creator state and you're in a rest and digest state, you're more likely to keep cycling around, or the other way around. If you're trying to get into a rest and digest state, it's very good to try and get your mind into this creator mode. But the other way around, if you are in a sore, stiff, tight, upset, emotional, tumultuous, whatever that was, state, you're probably going to have that critic mindset. And the other way around, if you have that negative mindset, all these things are going to start turning up in your life. So it's important to try and break that cycle and start flipping back into creator. So first things first, if you're stuck in critic, there's a few little ways that you can disarm it to try and get yourself back into a creator mode. So my favorite ways are, number one, you ask yourself, what's the price of these thoughts and actions? So once you've become aware of, there's some negative thoughts going on in my head, they're not serving me. Ask, what are they costing you? This is what you can also ask about self-depreciating habits or those self-sabotaging habits, is what is it actually costing you every day? For you to keep doing this, it's going to slide you back down to where you were before. And having awareness of that can help you to snap out and be like, no, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be this negative. It's not getting me anywhere. So that's number one. Then number two is on the flip side of that, because ironically that can come from a bit of a critical point of view, is affirming your worth. So retelling yourself that you are worth it, or that everything that you believe in yourself can actually come out. Because if you continuously say that you don't want to be like something, that's again coming from a negative state, you need to reaffirm what you do want to be like. So knowing who you want to be, how you want to be like that, and keep affirming that to yourself until it's something that you believe. Remember, your beliefs come out of the stories that you tell yourself. So keep telling yourself a good story. And also remind yourself of what you've just learned, like what the critic actually is, and just be accepting of it. It's there to help you. It's trying to protect you, even though it's a pretty awful way. It's like a very angry parent that just trying to keep you safe by keeping you at home locked in your room. It's not very nice, but it's trying to keep you safe. So having that acceptance around it and then saying, I don't need this and I can actually move forward on my own is a very important state. So if you can disarm that critic mode, then hopefully that can help you start having a bit more of those creative thoughts. Now, how are some ways that you can actually improve your self-talk? So get yourself back into more of a creative zone, creator zone, is number one. Most important is looking after your health. So getting into that parasympathetic rest and digest state is one of the biggest important parts of getting back into this mindset. So make sure you're sleeping, exercising, looking after your nutrition, everything that we're preaching here at Powerful. Make sure you're living and breathing that, and you will be in a much better state mentally, physically, and emotionally to be in a good self-talk state and not to self-sabotage. Number two is practicing gratitude. Similar to what I said before about affirming your worth. When you're grateful for what you have, you can't be in a negative state. If you're understanding truly what you have and how much you appreciate it, you're going to be so much more happy. And I think gratitude is one of the key ways to get yourself into creator mode as well. Number three is changing the statement. So I mentioned this a little bit before. When a thought runs through your mind, if you're aware that it's a negative one, flip it over to a positive one. And not in a false way, just change your perspective around the situation. So a good example is if you're nervous for, say, a talk, like if you're doing some public speaking or something. Instead of being nervous about what are people going to think of me, I always stuff up, I'm really scared, like I'm always like this, instead of trying to flip it around, like you've obviously got this great opportunity to speak, so be grateful for the opportunity that you're able to influence these people. Be happy and excited that you can share your knowledge with them, and all of a sudden you notice that you'll flip it around. Your body doesn't know the difference between two emotions, if they're positive and negative, you just feel something. So say nervousness, that could be nervousness or excitement. They're both just in an arousal state of an excitement. Same deal, you want to make sure that your body is is your brain is influencing your body and not the other way around, just letting yourself get overwhelmed and fall into it. So changing your statement. So I like to do that with a lot of things. Same with your body image. If you're saying negative things about your body, then it's time to flip the switch and be accepting and loving of your body. Be proud of how, like gratitude comes back in. Be proud of how much it can do, especially if you've been strength training and working on your body. You should be happy that it's strong, healthy and happy and moving forward towards your goals. You shouldn't be depreciating your body. Choosing your attitude. So a very important thing is, if you're noticing all this happening, you're not a victim to it. Your mind, you own your mind doesn't own you. So take responsibility and don't be a victim. You can choose your state to turn up in that day. If you need to vent a little bit, that's fine. Let your emotions out, all good. But try and get yourself back into that nice, positive creator mode and take that step forward to move on with your day. Oh, that's what I just said, literally. If you express your emotions, one of the biggest parts of having a critic mind is being a repressor of your emotions. So letting them out in a healthy way, like we said way back in the emotions and beliefs article, like either talking to someone, doing exercise, letting them out physically, mentally, emotionally, any way possible, understanding your emotions more, that's a great way. Make sure that you're expressing them and not keeping them holed up inside. Now the way is choosing your circle. So the people that you're around can really influence your self-talk. If you're around people that talk negatively down to you, it's very hard to be around them, because if they're already saying that and then you're saying it in your own head, it's kind of doubly reinforced. So try and stay around people that are positive, like-minded, growth-minded, lovely, awesome people that you want to be like. And that's that quote that if you're the dumbest person in the room, it's a good room to be in. So try and find friends that you are trying to aspire to be like. But on the flip side of that, if you struggle to find anyone, finding influencers in your life can be equally as powerful. Things like audiobooks, podcasts, mentors, coaches, anything like that, they're all extremely powerful ways to get a more positive circle around you to help your mindset. And lastly, let's go back to meditating. Getting your brain and body into a relaxed parasympathetic state. Best way is to meditate. It can also help with everything we've just talked about, clearing your emotions, letting go, bringing yourself back to your body in the moment and being more positive in that mind. Cool. So this is a big lesson, guys, about self-talk and self-sabotage, but when we're tying it all back around, I've got a couple of questions at the bottom of this article that you can tie back in to how your mental state is affecting you, and if you're in that current moment, how to see a self-sabotaging habit and give it a bit of a switch over. Cool? All right, guys, hope that helps. See you next time.